Welcome to the Final Corner podcast, the second BTCC race review of the season. Thank you everyone who's joined us so far. Our most downloaded episode ever was our season preview, so welcome on the journey. I'm ignoring the episode that randomly got 14,500 downloads because I don't think that's real. So thank you everyone and welcome. This is our Brands Hatch Indy review, rounds 2 or round 4, 5 and 6, depending on how you're referencing it. So I'm joined as always by Nick and by Tom. Welcome, gents.
Hello.
Yes, hello. Pleasure to speak about BTCC as ever.
It was a really, really good weekend, to be fair.
Do you think?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the racing. Obviously, race 1 and 2 were very match Verstappen in terms of who won it, but the action behind was excellent.
Did you enjoy it, Nick?
I did, yeah. It was very good fun, and it was nice and unpredictable.
I was on the edge of my seat, but in particular for races 2 and 3. But I just want to jump in with some negativity.
Oh, God. It's not like us to be negative. Come on.
No, I'm not. We're not. I'm going to actually put down someone for being negative. So I'm not going to give them a name, but a former BTCC driver, race winner no less, posted to Twitter. I nearly got it right. I nearly said tweeted and corrected myself to say posted because that's the right nomenclature or terminology. But they posted to X after the race 1 had ended at Brands. I've not watched any other BTCC races this year, but having watched that, hybrid needs to go. End of. And I would say, I don't think you're in the best position to comment if you've not watched 3 amazing races from Donington Park. And I'm really glad the series delivered 2 great races after that to really shove it up to them, I guess. And also, I'm sorry, you can't be the person to say end of and end the debate. And then when people reply agreeing with you with confirmation bias going, yeah, brilliant. Oh, so hang on a minute, it's not end of then, is it? It's, I agree.
Yeah, so. Take that, Andy Neat. whoever Tom isn't naming.
He said race winner.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Oh, jeez, I've spoiled it already.
I've no idea who it is, but it just sounds like John Clennon to me. Just the end of.
Yeah, here we go. Just watched my first BTCC race of the year. Get rid of hybrid and bring back success ballast. The end. Didn't tweet or post, on X after that when there were 2 great races. So just going to come up with some negativity and disappear. That's not cool.
Yes, well, I'm not going to comment. That's how I use X, Twitter. So
yeah.
Anyway,
I tripped over myself trying to be correct. Moving on.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Let's be honest. We weren't huge fans of the hybrid last year, but it has really spiced things up this year.
So far, so good.
The way ballast works is you just go backwards, whereas this year it looks like people are having to use their brain to pick when and choose when to use a hybrid and fight. So. So far, we're 2 rounds in, 6 races. Thumbs up from me.
Yeah, and I don't think it makes a massive difference around Brands, in Indy especially. I think tracks with some particularly long straights will make it a lot harder for those with less boost.
Well, we saw huge closing speeds here, even towards Paddock Hill Bend, when someone was on a hybrid. So it's opening up opportunities for racing, which ballast probably didn't. Ballast just meant you had a roadblock in front of you, whereas this is a bit more tactical.
Yeah, because the ballast also, it used to knacker the tyre wear as well. So it had like a dual effect. It made them slower and it made the tyres wear out quicker. So
yeah, I think it would be hard to watch the first 6 races this year and say that it's not been exciting. All right, we've had repeat winners throughout the weekend, but there's been great action behind, which I think has probably been missing for the series over the last 2 years.
Yeah, and also the third race winner being someone from the midfield has definitely been missing in recent years.
Yeah,
definitely.
And so if you look at it, the racing is different to ballast, and you can argue whether or not that's true racing or not. But ballast never was anyway. Ballast was always a gimmick.
Yeah,
and so I'm happy with it at the minute. Well, I'm not going to deliver a definitive verdict until the season's over, right?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
So far, so good.
Okay, so we're at Brands Hatch Indy Circuit first of two Brands Hatch meetings this year. It's a 1.21 mile track. Ash Sutton holds the lap record from last year and averaging 90 miles an hour. Nice little track. It's fast, 24 laps I think the races were. So there's plenty of action all weekend. There was no real news coming at the weekend, but a bit of news on social media today. Bobby Thompson has got an announcement on the 15th, 16th of May. Oh, I should have looked up the post before I said that.
It is. It's on Thursday, which is the 16th of May.
So
kind of irrelevant because we don't know when this episode is going to be released.
Hopefully before then. But everyone is speculating that he is back and he'll probably be in the third BMW, which apparently it was rumoured that it's going to be missing. Fourth, sorry. It was rumoured that it's going to be missing from the next round, but if Bobby's got an announcement this week, it may be that's going to race with him in it, which would be nice.
Well, he was interviewed. Sorry, Colin. He was interviewed on the grid during this weekend, and he did say things are looking very exciting regarding the fourth BMW seat. Didn't elaborate any more on that at the time, but it's tending to lean towards this.
I watched that and thought, why would you be given the Toka pass to be on the grid and be queued up with ITV if they didn't already know that something was in the works for the main category? But I'll temper that slightly with it could be something in the Toka support package, right? I mean, I don't think so, because otherwise I don't think you'd do the interview on the grid. But I did think, he was really talking it up to Louise, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And pink in the teaser. Interesting. Traction's coming back. Are we sponsored? No.
Is that public now? Have you spoiled something I need to cut out?
No, I mean, no one really cares. Yeah, it's public, yeah. All good.
Oh, good. Okay, so...
We're not putting anything out there on the internet, but it's public and everyone's left their other jobs and we're working towards it.
Great. So I'm not gonna get sued if I don't cut this out. That's good.
No.
That's my primary goal in this podcast, is to not get sued by people. You may notice the disclaimers I put in the description of every episode. It's please don't sue me.
Keep doing that.
Yeah. What Tom says is what Tom means, not the rest of us.
Personal opinions. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, Bobby Thompson back. Hopefully, Jack Sears winner last year or the year before. I think it was last year.
At some point.
Yeah, it'll be good to have him back. So we had the new qualifying format. Didn't watch it. I'm not going to go through it all. But Colin Turkington was on pole. Aaron Morgan second. Dan Camish third. Sutton fourth. Cook fifth. And Rowe bottom sixth. So BMW 1-2. Yeah, for qualifying. And then you guys want to shout out for qualifying?
Not particularly, no. I do quite like the new format. It's quite interesting to watch, but nothing in particular that was that exciting happened.
No, Donington was, oh my word, what's going on here? And people getting disqualified and crashing, but it was all very sensible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one element of that is by having fewer cars on track at the Indy circuit just means it's a straightforward session.
Yeah.
In the past, it would be 30, and a smaller grid, 30 cars at Indy trying to get space. So again, we'll have to wait further judgment at different circuits. The one thing I would mention is that Adam Morgan has done a fantastic result there. And a result that I think would be indicative of the previous ballast system. Maybe, I don't want to take too much away from his driving. But to be, 5 thousandths away from pole, sterling effort. He was also quickest in qualifying part 2. Oh no, nearly quickest in qualifying part 2 behind Cook. So he had the pace all the way through, and he was quickest in his group. So not a flash in the pan. And I did feel a little sorry for, at the first part of qualifying, we have 2 groups of 10, and then people get knocked out. I felt sorry that both Evans Holshaw, Power Max Racing, for the full name, Astras, were in the same group and up against Sutton, Chilton, Pearson, Camish, Huff, Turkington. And it's always hypothetical. Both their times were quicker than Ingram, who made it through in Group 2, for example. So if it was a normal qualifying session, I think they would have been higher up the grid than what they actually were. But because that's the way the cookie crumbles, they were further back.
Okay, on to race 1 then. It was a beautiful, beautiful sunny day, which made people worried about soft tyres. First time we've had soft tyres this season, and that was Turkington, Camish, Hill, Cook and Andrew Watson who were on it. And the hybrid boost was based on the championship position. 5 laps for Ingram, and then once you were outside the top 8 or 8th and above, you had 12. So half the race, the hybrid for a lot of the guys, which was, it was clearly beneficial for people who had poor qualifying. So off the start, and Colin Turkington holds the lead and then wins. So just repeat that for race 2 as well. So
imperious drive, because behind all hell was kicking off.
It's incredible. Colin Turkington was on the fringes last year, and this weekend he just looked so comfortable in that car. He had about a 5-second gap and just kept it.
I think what brings that home even more was not the dominance of the wins, but his teammates floundering. And as we'll touch on, I don't think it was a good race for Adam Morgan, this one. He did fight back later in the day, but that was not a good look.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
Like, he's on the front row there. He's got the qualifying speed to match Turkington, but just racecraft or bringing the tyre pressures up. I don't know if the temperatures were weird there. But also, it seems like he was out. Once he was out of the groove, he couldn't get back in it, which is a mental thing. But also, he couldn't get back in because people kept hounding the inside line. It's kind of like opening a tin of sardines, right, and only eating half of them. You can never close that tin again, and you could never get back online. And it jump ahead a bit. It resulted in a crash ultimately.
Must admit, I wasn't expecting a sardines reference, but nicely done.
There we go.
Something I've never experienced.
That is why people listen to this podcast.
Yeah. I do wonder why people listen to this podcast, but anyway. Andrew Watson pulled off a nice move into clearways. I'm just going to refer to the final corner as clearways. I'm not going to talk about our kinks.
Oh, yeah. I tend to do the same.
I think you'll find.
It's ours at the bottom.
Yeah, McLaren. Because David Addison does refer to the kinks. But yes, we'll move on.
Good for him. I'm not. So yeah, there was some good midfield fighting. Ash Sutton got ahead of Camish at the start, which compromised Camish's race. He was on the softer tyre, and Sutton's clearly not going to play the team game at this point in the season. Everyone's out for themselves. I think he did probably let him pass later in the race, but certainly early on, I think he was eyeing up Turkington. A few moves in the midfield. Ingram and Watson. Was that the one you were upset about, Tom, or is that coming later?
That's race 2.
Right, we'll get to there. Ash Sutton got past Adam Morgan, and then Morgan just drops like a stone.
The floodgates open.
I think I saw him down at 17th at one point from second, which I don't know what happened. It's just everyone was going past.
Yeah. I can only assume he couldn't get temperature in the tyres. Or something like that. Just because, there was just no grip in that car. Or in the driver, I don't know.
What happened, once a few people had gone past, he then tried to shut the door quite aggressively. So there was a moment where, I think it might have been Watson, coming out of Druids, going down to Graham Hill.
He grasped
He just turned left. Yeah, on the straight. I was like, that's a bit out of order. But big risk in a BMW, right? Because that could turn you around quite easy.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
And he didn't learn his lesson. But I thought that one was over the line because I think Cook had just got past him. I think Cook had went round outside at Druids.
Yes.
And then he obviously panicked. But it was a really naughty one. As I say, everyone goes past. And then, is it this race he crashes with Ronan Pearson? He cuts across the front of him on the run up to Druids out of Parrotwell Bend and puts them both into the barrier.
Yeah, which wasn't a good move on his part, I don't think. Yeah, he clearly, the fact that he gets turned across the front shows that he wasn't far enough ahead to be putting in front of him.
Oh, it was very lucky that wasn't a huge accident, really, because they both go across the grass, cannon into the wall, then come back on in front of the whole pack, out of control. And so Adam Morgan was given an official reprimand, 2 penalty points for that manoeuvre. So it sounds like we're bagging on Morgan. Well, we kind of are a bit. I mean, we do believe he's a good driver and he can do well. This was just an inauspicious start to the weekend because the move on Watson was out of order. This is clearly a mistake. And I think, just to reiterate, very lucky that 4 or 5 other cars didn't pile in. It ruined Pearson's race. Morgan was able to continue on, wasn't he? Seemingly without damage.
Yeah, I think he continued on, but Ronan Pearson was in the gravel and managed to get himself out, but I'm pretty sure he pitted after that.
Yeah. I think so, yes, you're right.
So, Dan Camish got past Sutton in the Druid. Looked like he kind of let him through at that point, but then he gets a left front puncture, which ruins his day, and puts Sutton back into second at that point.
Yeah, I think so.
Third? Second, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Tom Ingram, Andrew Watson. I didn't realise that Watson had got a penalty for this.
Yeah, it was.
Got a second penalty for incident with Tom Ingram. I do remember seeing them on screen, and it looked maybe like Watson ran at the back of him at Druids.
To me, it was very similar to because it was actually on the same lap as the Morgan and Pearson thing. And to me, Ingram moved across the same way that Morgan did on Pearson, but it was more in the braking zone. So it's a bit more 50-50, I suppose, but the stewards clearly felt that Watson did the worst of it for going into the back of him, but I didn't see much difference in the way that Ingram moved over to how Morgan did. But
they've also just classed it as a push to pass.
Yeah.
But
it,
I didn't, I probably agree with you.
It wasn't clear on the camera, though, because they were focusing on the Morgan Pearson incident, so it was sort of just happening just on the edge of the screen.
Yeah, I struggled to remember this as well. And then just before we started recording, Nick reminded me. So I got ITVX up to watch it back. Yes, it's at oh my goodness, it is at the exact moment that the Pearson Morgan incident's happening further up the road. So the camera's focused on that, but there is one replay looking down the hill, and you can see it, and there's not a full car width gap for Watson to dive down, but Ingram does move in the braking area. So I agree with Nick, it's a 50-50, and ultimately there's been contact and Watson's got the position, so I agree as well, Colin, that it must be viewed as a push to pass.
Just seemed a bit of a harsh one, 6-second penalty for it.
Yeah, that's staggering.
I wonder why they fixed that.
I mean, we're not stewards. My opinion.
We're not a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or experts. But we're just opinionated fans, right? So, but I would have given a warning for it. I don't think I would have given the 6 seconds. I would have given maybe a penalty point or something. But
there was a lot of aggressive racing this weekend, and even at Donington, there's certainly a lot more contact this year between cars, and most of them seem to get away with it, which is why this is probably we're a bit confused about how this was a penalty.
I might also clarify, actually, looking at the results, Watson finished just behind Ingram in the results, so the 6 seconds might have been just the amount needed to put him behind Ingram. I
agree. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, so that would make more sense then.
I would also just say I thought Ingram was a bit off form in this race. Obviously, he has fewer boost abilities or presses than other cars around, so that's clearly a factor. I don't think he was on the soft tyre either. No, so
saved it for
seventh is still a good. Seventh is still a good result, but his rail pace came later in the day.
Chilton passed him. Come on.
I know. Interesting.
I know. That's
I thought that was going to be like a F1 style thing where let your teammate pass, let him have a go at the cars ahead. If he doesn't do anything, he'll pass you back. But no.
Yeah, too early in the season for that, I think. So, Daryl De Leon, we didn't watch him last year, did we? Because it was mid-season.
Yeah.
It was Doble we watched.
It was.
So De Leon was in the pits. I wasn't sure if it's a puncture or if it was something else. They were indicating it might have been a failure.
It looked like a puncture initially, but then it was hard to tell. It looked like the tyres were inflated.
Yeah.
There was definite smoke coming out of somewhere, though.
Yep, so Andrew Watson, I thought I had a pretty good race. I saw him making a move on Dan Rowbottom. Ash Sutton got overtaken by Cook eventually. That was a great fight.
Yeah, that was made the final part of this race for me. I thought, oh, well, Turkington's gone. Everything else has settled down. But Josh Cook and Sutton provided the entertainment with some dogged defending, but also a great move in ultimately to get by.
Yeah.
Again, Jake Hill, I thought, it was a fairly anonymous race for him, but he managed to get himself up to fourth, which is still not it's a pretty decent result. But I don't really remember seeing him doing much. It was one of those that I think everyone in front of him just kind of dropped off.
Yeah.
I didn't see Ingram, and you've noted here that Ingram's tyre was smoking this one. I also had a puncture in race 3, but I never noticed it in this race as well.
I don't know what it was. I just saw it, I think, coming out of Clearways. It just seemed to have a bit of smoke pouring out, and then it seemed to vanish again. So I don't know if something was rubbing or not.
I think in the race where he got a puncture, the same thing was happening unrelated to the puncture. So it could be pickup, it could be splitter, in a wheel arch liner. I noticed it in this as well. And it's on the different side to where he got the puncture in the race where he has the puncture. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Because in race 3, it was every time he was braking.
Yeah.
Which is why I didn't. When I saw it initially, I was like, oh, that's not a puncture. And then 3 laps later, it's a puncture. So, Rob Huff, maybe playing some games, gave Aaron Taylor Smith 10th position.
Yeah. I like the two different viewpoints as well, with Huff saying, oh, yes, I may have had a slight issue. It may have been related to the fact I wanted the soft tyres. And then Aaron Taylor Smith was just like, yeah, I'm definitely having that place. I want the points.
Yeah, I think at the moment, Rob Huff is just trying to set himself up for like mid-10s and then hopefully a race 3 podium or something. I think that's what he's trying to set himself up for at the moment.
I don't think he wants that. I think he wants to be fighting for the title, but this championship is so specific in terms of driving style and setup. And now with the tyre and hybrid rules, I do think it takes a season to get your eye in before you can actually be at the sharp end every round. And so I thought it was a good move from Huff, and it meant in race 2, I thought, especially the commentary team, which are wonderful, and I was with them, could he be a favourite? Because literally everybody ahead has less boost, and worse tyres. Could he come through and win from 11th? But anyway, we'll get onto that.
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, Turkington, Cook, Sutton. Turkington got the fastest lap. Final part, Nick.
Yeah, it's very disappointing that Scott Sumpton just missed out on 15th place as he got passed on was it the final lap or a couple of laps before the end by Adam Morgan?
Penultimate. Oh, no. Yes, 2 laps from home.
Yeah. But, yeah, not bad, 16th.
Can I just add another thing quickly? That Kamish had a puncture in race 1. Before the weekend, I don't know if either of you saw the Tim Harvey feature where he drove Osborne's Napa Focus.
Yeah.
And on a warm day and on the soft tyre, it looks like he had a puncture as well and ended up in the gravel trap.
Yeah.
Rather embarrassing, but it did sound like there was a pop, and Paul O'Neill said it wasn't his fault. And then the commentary referenced when Kamish got a puncture that, that looks familiar.
Yes. It was Steve Ryder that was mostly ribbing him for it.
Well, there's an amazing clip. I don't know if it's on YouTube or not, but Steve Ryder in the BBC Super Touring years drove a Volvo at Brands Hatch and put it in the gravel on his own accord at the final corner at Brands in a Volvo. Completely ruined it, but it's a great TV feature. And Paul O'Neill, I only ever saw it because Paul O'Neill shared it a few years ago on social media. So that's what they're referencing there, I think.
Okay, race 2. Good. In between, I think, race 1 and race 2, there was a Porsche upside down, which was interesting.
Yes.
I didn't see that.
That was the Druids one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was on exit Druids, and it was the tiniest little tap, and all of a sudden there's a Porsche doing barrel rolls at like 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, it must have just been just that right angle on the wheel or whatever it was. Just flipped it over.
Yeah, that was mad. Some of the sport races this weekend were great. If you've not seen it yet, watch the Legends race after race 3. It was just pure insanity.
Yes, Tom unfortunately hasn't seen it yet, but I got to watch it.
Oh, it's mental. It's great.
It is.
It's on my schedule for Friday.
When the support races aren't just constantly crashing and bringing out safety cars, they can be brilliant. Unfortunately, a lot of the time, they're just crashing and bringing out safety cars. So, race 2, cars on the soft tires are Rob Huff, Sam Osborne, Mickey Doble, Adam Morgan, and Nick Halstead. And the hybrid boost goes based on race 1 results. So off the line, Turkington gets away well, and that's pretty much the race. He does have a safety car later, but he manages that beautifully as well. Jake Hill gets a lightning start, gets ahead of Ash Sutton.
Mm-hmm.
And then Josh Cook has a little moment, and Jake Hill gets through.
Yeah, it's
okay.
a tricky one, that. Because it was a similar thing where, because Hill is similar to the Watson and Ingram thing, where Hill is kind of on the inside of Cook, who's trying to push him onto the grass. But yeah, clearly there was no penalties given out for this one.
I thought, oh, that's going to be an airplane crash. Cook is sideways in the braking zone. So well held. Not sure if it was a good look, really.
Yeah.
Either driver.
The Sutton and Cook fight continues on from race 1. Sutton tries to move at Graham Hill Bend, but I think Cook stays ahead at that point. Rob Huff is starting to make progress. He gets past Andrew Watson at Paddock. Aidan Moffat then falls through.
Yeah, that was a nice one, I thought.
Moffat that was the dive up in the last corner, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was the tiniest little gap, and he's like, I'm having it.
That is a great corner, because you can see guys just letting off the brakes as soon as, like, not even a car's width on the inside. As soon as just a wee bit of tarmac or asphalt, so Tom doesn't shout at me, asphalt off the curb, they just weave off the brakes and get up the inside. It's an excellent corner. Sutton does get back around Hill, the outside of Paddock Hill Bend. Can't actually hold the position as they go through the hairpin. There was a lot of side-by-side stuff throughout the weekend.
I thought that Hill locked up, didn't he, big time, going up to the hairpin. Druids on the inside of Sutton. I thought, oh, well, they're definitely going to end up in the gravel trap. But it was well held. Yeah.
Jake Hill then starts to pull an Adam Morgan in this race.
Yeah!
So Sutton and Cook are obviously fighting with him. Sutton eventually gets a position. Cook goes onto the grass along a little back straight for no real reason. I could see.
Yeah,
just Cook things.
Yeah, but does manage to go around outside the hill at the last corner. But then at this point, the hill just drops away. And I know he then has an issue where his steering just completely detaches from reality and he goes straight on at Druids into the gravel. But I'm wondering if he's then starting carrying a fault because everyone's getting past.
Cook and Hill do rub in that manoeuvre, so I'm wondering.
He has a few contacts throughout this race, does Hill?
Yes.
So it could be.
But even before then, he can't get back in line after the Cook move, basically, because then Rowbottom, Chilton, Huff, another Hyundai's, Ingram, they're all down his inside.
Yeah.
And it's just like a tin of sardines.
Yeah, I agree with that. The one thing that annoyed me was Rowbottom again. When Ingram goes past, you got Rowbottom then tries to follow through, but he seems to get far too involved with defending from Hill and lets the cars behind him get past. And he does tend to do that a lot sometimes. He concentrates too much on the car right next to him and not the cars behind him.
Yes, I agree. And then Hill gets back past, and on the 9th lap at Druids, Rowbottom just drives straight into the back of him. Push. I'm watching it right now. Mm-hmm. Hill runs completely wide, loses 3 positions because Moffat and Morgan also get through.
Yeah.
And there is not a thing about that from the stewards. And that is the most egregious push to pass of the weekend, in my opinion.
Yes.
I mean, Hill's trying to turn in and then has to turn the other way to countersteer to try and get the car in a straight line. And I know it's not a huge damage and there wasn't a crash. And I know Hill ultimately retires, but I don't think you should get away with a move like that.
No, I agree.
Point blank obvious. And that's the one I was a bit annoyed about, Colin.
All right, okay. Fair enough. But what I do love about this track is that it is one where if you're having a slightly tricky race and you get pushed offline, you're always in 6 positions.
Yeah.
Like you're if you're as soon as you're on the back foot, you're not getting back at anyone.
Yeah, it's like
Andrew
NASCAR
Watson
race.
had a really good race 1 apart from his penalty.
Yeah.
But then his race 2, the similar thing happens to him. He's going nowhere. He's going backwards.
Yeah.
So Ingram then pulls off a great move on Josh Cook. It's one of those. He's on the outside going down at Patio Bend. He brakes on the straight, nicks up the inside, and just about gets through without contact or major contact. And he takes, I can't remember the position at this point. I think it gets him up into second.
Third, I think, at that point.
Third. So I thought it was a brilliant move.
It was a lovely move, that was.
When you're at the top of the championship table, it must be tempting to just do a Turkington, quote unquote, although in this race he disappeared, and just be like, fourth is good points. But I do like about Ingram is he'll make a decisive, big move that could go horribly wrong and get it right 9.5 times out of 10. and it takes a lot of gumption to get past Cook in that manner. And what I really liked about it was he basically parked it on the apex in the move as well, right?
Yes.
So he's got that amazing, slight jeek to the wrong way and then down the inside. Doesn't run wide, part 2. Part 3, have the foresight of, but no one's going to get the cut back up to the Druids on me. I'm just going to stop. I'm just not accelerate in the middle of the apex. Fantastic. Perfect.
We're going to call that the Hyundai something. I've forgotten what I was going to say in the second part. Was it the Swindon Shuffle or something we've got coming up?
The Swindon Shuffle.
Kidderminster Kerfuffle.
The Kidderminster Kerfuffle. Hyundai Harpoon, something like this.
I don't know. Because Tom Chilton pulls it out in race 3 as well.
We need to touch upon that. I've got a rant, but moving on.
Yeah.
But he got a rant about his post-race interview, which was very Jason Plato.
Oh no, but it was, wasn't it?
It was a bit.
I was waiting for the moment to say it where he went, I taught that boy everything he knows. He didn't quite get that far, but he was close.
It was close. And I also just want to mention that when Cook went on the grass, his radiator or grill filled up with grass. And after the Ingram move, there's a slight bit of contact at Druids, which rather fortuitously removes it.
He does,
Perfect.
Yeah, I thought that if that was intentional, that was genius. So well done.
Yes, it's not quite Gordon Shedden hitting the tyre barriers at Snetterton to deliberately remove front left wing, I think, to get rid of the black and orange flag. Although, was it this race where that flag was used?
Oh,
yes,
it was used twice.
Do you want to jump to that now?
Yeah, your car first got Rob Huff, haven't you? Who's got his bumpers just. I think he's got 2 wings flapping and that, and then you've got Josh
Both
Cook
sides.
who's got a side.
Yeah.
Meatball.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I don't really know. That's by the regulations, yes, it's justified, but it didn't seem that bad to me to warrant a flag.
Certainly not Cook's, I don't think.
I suppose safety first. If it flies off, it goes in the crowd, that sort of thing. But you could say that about any bit of bodywork if they get hit in the wrong place.
Here's why I'm personally frustrated. At Donington in one of the races, Sutton's left rear wheel arch was flopping and nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm okay with this if they also penalised Sutton at Donington, but they didn't, so I'm a bit annoyed. Just for consistency's sake. So I'm not actually annoyed by them getting it. I just, come on, let's. Now you've set a precedent, I think, of any piece of bodywork. You've got to do this, otherwise I think Huff and Cook would be rightly aggrieved.
Yeah, and I do think Cook was trying to get rid of that bodywork on track.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a shame because we're both from pretty decent races, especially Josh Cook, and it's huge in the championship to get a meatball there, and especially in such a short lap. Rob Huff just retired because what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
And Josh Cook ended up dropping almost an entire lap behind.
I think this was really pivotal in Cook's championship because he'd put a great race one in, a solid Donington, and this has impacted 2 races. And he's quite a number of points behind now. And in my mind, he is the leading Toyota. Even if Huff comes on form and wins some races later in the year, across the year, I still think Cook should be the leader because he's more experienced in these cars.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so there was a safety car. Restart was fine for Turkington. A couple of other moves in the midfield. Mikey Doble got past Ronan Pearson at the lower ends of the points, and Doble ended up finishing in 9th, which is a fairly decent result for him. Adam Morgan catches up with Sutton and Ingram right to the last lap, and as those two are fighting, he's trying to steal the podium position. We can't get it done, but it did mean that 2nd, 3rd and 4th were within 0.3 of each other. Morgan was within 0.03 of a second of Sutton at the line, so one more lap and Adam Morgan would have completed an incredible comeback.
Yeah, I know. We say very easy to bemoan him for race 1. Race 2 was a sterling effort. Obviously, soft tyres and more hybrid. Although, actually, same about hybrid as I think he had in race 1. And I keep calling it hybrid, I mean boost. But
it's hybrid. Wait, what? Explain your boost thing
it's
again.
both, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, because
you get more
this
turbo
year
as well.
You get more turbo as well, yeah.
Mhm.
30 horsepower from turbo, 30 from hybrid. Yeah, sorry. I'm being pernickety with that one, Colin.
Right, okay.
But if
That's
you call
fine.
it hybrid, it's fine. I'm not going to bemoan you so much.
So can I call it tarmac?
Yeah, no. It's asphalt. Yeah, so Morgan's fight back is very impressive here, and it almost undoes race 1, but it also makes you think what could have been.
Yeah, that's very true. It was a very good drive. I know he did have the soft tyres, but he still had to pass all these people.
Yep, that's it. I just jumped in there and repeated what you were saying. Apologies. We should maybe touch upon why there was a safety car as well.
Did we not? Jake Hill's steering just gave up 11.
Yeah, it's very odd, that was.
Really weird. We did briefly touch upon it, but we didn't actually say the end result, I don't think, which was him sat in the gravel trap, spinning the wheel around.
Yeah, like it just wasn't
Should not be
attached.
possible. Yeah. So I would like a thorough investigation. Of course, unfortunately, there's never going to be an online news story explaining what happened there. But I haven't been able to check Autospot this week to see if Marcus Simmons got an interview with him.
Yeah, I haven't
So I'd love to know.
Any mention yet. I've had a little browse through things. Same as I didn't see any mention of Scott Sumpton, who only managed 2 laps. I think it was 2 or 3 laps, and then just vanished.
Oh, good shout.
He had some kind of mechanical issue, but I don't know what it was.
Our boy's not been off to a good start. But race 3 is going to get better for him. So, got that
On the
to look
softs.
forward to. On the softs. So, Turkington pulled out ball number 11, which would put Ronan Pearson on pole position for race 3. And again, hybrid boost based on race 2 results. A lot of people on softs, a lot of people saved them for this race. So you had Pearson, Aaron Taylor-Smith, Aaron Moffat, who had a disastrous qualifying. He got his setup completely wrong, so he's spending his weekend recovering. Tom Chilton, Rowbottom, Sutton, Ingram, De Leon, Smiley and Sumpton all on softs for race 3. And at the start, Aaron Taylor-Smith gets an excellent getaway, gets past Ronan Pearson to take the lead. He started to worry that the young man's probably blown, but he pulls an exceptional move into clearaways, up the inside, knocks Taylor-Smith's right mirror tucked in.
Yes, I
so you
saw
can
that.
see on the right hand side the rest of the race. But an exceptional move for Pearson to take the lead back and jump to the end. He drives in an absolute exceptional race. Nobody comes near him. He's so consistent. Barely puts a foot wrong and takes his first ever win in BTCC, which I thought that was a superb race for you drive.
It was, especially after the start when he didn't particularly get a bad start either. Just Taylor Smith just seemed to get a brilliant one, and I just thought, well, that's his chance of a race win screwed. And within a lap, he's back in the lead with a brilliant move. So yeah, all credit to him.
Yeah, it's very easy to look at it and go, oh, race 3 reverse grid, but he did the move.
He did.
Perfectly at the start. Then didn't put a foot wrong. He even had fastest lap up until the point I think Ingram took it away. And I would also say the pace was there all weekend. He just got caught up in that Morgan melee in the first race.
True.
And at Donington, he qualified 5th, but then in the second race had power steering failure. So it's actually been a long time coming in many respects. It's not like we talked at the top of the show of actually the race 3 results are like ballast, where you would get a more unlikely winner. But I do think this is well deserved.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he did benefit though from Aidan Moffat's departure from the scene. So Moffat got a fairly good start. He got around outside to Mikey Doble, and he's putting himself in position for a podium, if not chasing down for a race win. On his lap to the grid, his boost pipe detached itself, so that got fixed on the grid, but not fixed well enough because it detaches again during the race, and he has to pull into pits and retire.
That's what caused it.
Yes, which Aidan was thoroughly fuming about, and was fairly unhappy on social media afterwards that happened.
He wasn't that happy with the team during qualifying either.
No.
When he was interviewed during qualifying, what was it he said? He said I can't remember the exact quote, but he said that the car was awful during practice, and we didn't change anything before qualifying. So what did they expect was going to happen? So it was a very kind of a big dig at his team or his engineer or whoever for not trying something. And
the Moffats are quite forthright, aren't they?
Yes.
Yes, and going by his Twitter replies, I think he did post something on Twitter, which he then deleted and reposted a bit calmer. So I think he was pretty fuming with his team.
That's me putting notifications on every time he tweets henceforth.
Yeah.
Don't make the Fifers angry. So yeah, Aidan obviously was going for another podium in race 3, if not a win. He's obviously raging about it.
Yeah, he retired for 3rd, I think.
Yeah, I mean he was in a good position going for this one, and he had a decent start to his championship. So I can understand his frustration. So behind, Nick Halstead gets a penalty. 10 seconds for start infringement.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but something happened that he got a penalty for.
Yeah. Adam Morgan continues a fairly good weekend, ignoring race 1. Passes to bottom at Graham Hill. Ash Sutton falls through. What I will say, Ash Sutton, even in race 3 when he's at the back to start with, he always fights his way through. Whereas you sometimes see Hill and Ingram, etc., start getting caught, and Sutton always manages to carve his way through.
Oh, he's a class act.
Yeah.
I'm just checking. Nick Halstead looks to me like he's in front of the grid box at the start. Just to clarify. Right. Yeah. He's got a splitter. You can't see the line that he's supposed to be behind. Certainly. So. Which, was it last year, the year before, when Turkington did that and they let it go because he won? Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So Daryl De Leon put a good, fairly forceful move on Colin Turkington.
Wonderful.
In clear ways.
I loved it.
Yeah. He lost the position, ultimately dropped back behind a bunch of cars, but I thought that was great.
Well, he retired when the car fell apart again.
That as well.
But even though you might think, well, I'm not in a championship-winning vehicle at this moment in time, I love it that you still think, yeah, but I'm going to send it. Why not?
Yeah. No, I thought that was really good to see. Yes, he was on the soft tyres, Turkington wasn't, but...
You've got to do it. You've got to give it a go.
Yeah, that's what you're there for.
Absolutely, and I'm sure the sponsors were happy with that.
Absolutely. Sponsors might have been happy because Mikey Doble was on TV a lot. Unfortunately, it's for the wrong reasons. He was just dropping like a stone.
Yeah.
Quite sad.
Both the Fords of Camus and Sutton got past, and then Ingram did as well. It was at this point we start seeing Tom Ingram's car producing some smoke when he's braking, and a couple of laps later he then ends up in the gravel at Druids with a puncture, manages to get it back to the pits and rejoins, gets his fastest lap point, but a disaster in race 3, and it ends up dropping him. Again, he's had such a good start to the year, he's only 10 points behind Sutton, but a race 3 non-score essentially, other than 1 point for fastest lap, is a pretty disastrous result.
It is, but that 1 point could also be crucial. So well done to him for not just parking it.
Absolutely. And Dan Camish let Sutton pass. So I think Sutton was on the soft where Camish was on the medium at this point. So that made a bunch of sense. I said Daryl Dillon pulled it off with mechanical issues. Who had went from midpoints all the way out of them anyway at this point.
Yeah, it would explain why he suddenly tumbled that far down after the promising start he made. And I was wondering at the time why he just went all the way back down to the back.
Andrew Watson put a lunge on him at Paddock, which was fairly ambitious, but came through. And then we see another Hyundai masterclass at Particle Bend, which I thought Aaron Taylor Smith would be raging about, but he actually went up on TV in the post-race interviews and congratulated him on a great move. Mm-hmm. So yes. he did the little outside early break and then dive up the inside. It looked messy at the time, but he managed to get through and claim the position and get second in the race. So it was a 1-2 for Bristol Street Motors and the Hyundai, or Hyundai, whatever you say it. What did you think of this move? I thought, that's a little bit on the edge, but he did say in his post-race monologue that Taylor Smith turned in on him because he knew what was happening.
That changed my mind slightly. Watching it at the time, I just instantly thought, well, that's a penalty. Because he was, as he went for the inside, as he gets to that point of hitting the brakes, his car's having a little twitch, which could well be because Aaron Taylor Smith moved over on him, or it could just be he wasn't fully in control. But either way, they came together, a little bit of bodywork damage, and Sutton also gets past as well. I still think it's, I don't know, it's probably a penalty, but just for me.
Without the context of the other overtakes of a Hyundai at the first corner from Ingram, I think it's borderline, because I can't help but feel that if the Astra's not there, he's missing the apex.
Yeah, he's not making it.
Because he said in the post-race interview, it's just the same as what Ingram does, but it was later. It was later in the braking zone, I felt, and it was a bit more clumsy. Ingram's fully alongside at the turning point, whereas I don't bemoan Aaron Taylor Smith for turning in there because he wasn't fully alongside at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll let it slide. And it was the right idea, and I can't do it. But when you look at Ingram, there's an extra level of finesse to the move that wasn't quite replicated here. And I think Sutton was said in the post-race interview, I was just chilling. We were looking after the tyres, but cheers for the gift.
Yeah.
So it could have been a podium for ATS there, but it wasn't, unfortunately.
If ATS was fuming after the race, I'd completely understand it, but the fact that he went up and congratulated Chilton on a great move, I thought,
was it ironic?
No,
it
both
wasn't.
looked happy. They both looked happy. So even at that point, I was like, right, fair enough. If he thinks it's all right, then I'm not going to argue with him in this point.
Yeah, I know what you mean with that. And I wouldn't want to see these types of moves not being tried.
Yes, fully with you there as well. Listen, it's only the row bottom move on hill at Druids in race 2 that I've got an issue with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair enough. So the final part, or something watch, it was a glorious finish for the young man.
It was, yeah. He managed to get that last points position off of
well done
last year's rookie, Mikey Doble. He managed to just get past him at the end to nick a point, and then later on, Sam Osborne got a 10-second penalty for track limits infringement, so he actually ended up with 2 points.
Brilliant. It was a bit of a shame to see Double fall back like he did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there was an issue there or a setup problem, but it was reminiscent of Watson and Morgan and Hill's troubles earlier in the day, and I can't decide if it's a hybrid mixed with tyre compounds and then not being able to test with the different compounds enough, and probably a combination of all three things.
Yeah, if you get your setup wrong with anything on this,
It just seems you're going straight back.
It's hurting you really bad.
Yeah.
So that was a great race. Jake Hill only managed to make it to 12th in his recovery.
Huge championship ramifications already there.
Yep, Cook only up to 11th as well.
Yeah.
So it was obviously tougher for these guys, not on the soft tyre, to get back through, I think, in this one. So, championship at the end of all that, Ash Sutton now leads, 2 points ahead of Colin Turkington. Ingram's 10 points back, which is actually fairly decent considering he's race 3. It's actually quite a big gap opening to Jake Hill, but still early on the season, 36 points. And Sutton's top without winning a race yet. 4 thirds in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So again, just consistency has put him up there.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well, I think, to see that despite me moaning slightly about the moves there, I think Chilton had a great weekend.
Yes, good point.
In fact, all the Hyundais did, but well, apart from Ingram.
The what?
The Hyundai. I don't know how to say it.
You went Geordie there.
Bit of Wales song. But yeah, no, it's great to see Chilton actually performing, which he hasn't done for years, and Pearson's showing that he's got pace. So if that carries on, that bodes well for Ingram in the championship.
Certainly does. Great point.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Donington was Chilton's nadir because there were so many mechanical issues with the vehicle. Nothing he can do with that.
Mm.
So it was also very clear to thank the team that it was working perfectly this time. I'd just like to mention as well one final thing about race 3. I think the camera at Druid stopped working on lap 5. It has like a glitch and goes black, and then the angle's never seen the rest of the race. So that's why we see the Chilton Taylor Smith move from an unorthodox angle from behind, because the camera on the straight is now covering turn 1 from behind. The camera at turn 1 was covering Druids from afar to cover this missing spot. So we didn't see after lap 5 the view of the cars coming up towards Druids head on at all. And that means when Ingram gets the puncture, it really happens at Druids where he locks up and runs wide in smoke, but there's no replay and there's no clear angle. It's because there was no camera there, I think.
Mm. Yeah, I didn't notice it at the time, but when you pointed it out, I think that's spot on.
Yeah, being a director and a camera operator at a BTCC race is frantic at best anyway, and they did really well to sort of patch up and cover and coordinate. Worst case scenario, we've got a key camera missing, so I just want to say chapeau to those people involved.
Well done to ITV's production team then.
Yep.
We're in an unusual position this year, probably due to the reduced grid, where everyone scored a point so far.
Oh yeah, that's very good.
Whoa, that's interesting.
Yeah. Scott Sumpton's on 2, I think Calcide's on 3, and then you go all the way up. Huff is surprising to be down in 14th, but Yanko his dramas so far, despite him being on TV constantly. He's also had some issues.
He's a big draw. Maybe they hype him up a little bit too much at the minute because it does take time to adapt to this championship.
Yeah, I still think he's a class driver.
Oh,
But absolutely.
I agree.
Without reproach. It's just a very specific rule set.
Mm.
And so when you spend multiple years driving TCR championships, you could go to TCR Denmark, right? And it's ostensibly the same equipment.
Yeah.
But you come to BTCC and it's completely different.
And it was also nice as well to see during the Chilton monologue him shout out Anthony Reid as well.
Oh, yes. It was a move I learnt from Anthony Reid. And I was like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
You can be a bit Plato-esque. If you're referencing Anthony Reid, that's fine by me.
Yes.
Absolute hero.
Yes. The spirit of Jason Plato will never leave us.
No,
we need to stop
not.
mentioning him every episode.
I'm sure
Because he'll love that.
Yeah, if he ever hears us, he'll love this. We've even got an award named after you, Jason. That's how much I love you. No, maybe not. Right, so Touring Cars is off to Snetterton next, 25th and 26th of May. Before that, the Formula One, which we haven't covered this year that you've heard. We have, but you haven't heard it. F1 is back from. Well, you have heard a couple, but anyway, it's back at Imola this weekend for the first time in 2 years. Obviously, that Grand Prix was cancelled last year due to the extreme weather. So that is back. Everyone's bringing all the upgrades. Lando Norris is obviously coming off the back of his first win. So congrats to him. And so we'll be back either with our Imola review, fingers crossed, or we'll definitely be back with our Snetterton review in 2 weeks' time.
Mm-hmm.
Snetterton's a bit of a weird track, so a couple long straights and then a weird twisty middle section before the final and hairpins. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the hybrid works along those.
Yep.
Any more for you guys?
Nope.
No, that's all good.
Just
all
enjoy
good.
the racing.
Yep. And hopefully Brad Pitt's movie doesn't go bust. It's going to be one of the most expensive movies
Yes.
Really?
ever made. So, it's like 300 million now, apparently.
Yeah,
In
you
the
could
world.
only watch it on Apple or something, can't you?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct. Yeah. Well, it might be in cinemas first, but we'll see.
True.
Yeah, that's not making its money back. Let's be honest.
But it doesn't need to if Apple's funding it to get subscribers, right?
True.
Yeah.
They're not
That
getting
is
me
very
there.
No. Same.
No. Right, okay. We'll be back in 2 weeks, so subscribe if you enjoyed this and made it this far.
Wow, you sounded really upbeat then. Subscribe if you want to hear more. Sorry, Colin.
Nobody makes it to minute 57. Let's be honest here.
And if you do, let us know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tweet us if you'd made it this far. Let us know.
At Final Corner Pod.
Oh yeah, I should probably start using that account.
Aye.
Anyway, right.
Sorry,
Bye-bye.
Colin. Bye.
So yeah.